Crisis-torn Heart says he now has clarity about the extent of the club's problems. There's no money left. On the day Bryan Jackson made numerous staff at Tynecastle redundant to cut costs, he told STV News that fans will have to dig deep or there won't be a football team to support. Earlier, our reporter Nick Rugby spoke to the club's administrator, Bryan Jackson.
And the situation is pretty bleak, I think, as everybody knew. But, once you actually get into it, it's good to be able to give some clarity. Unfortunately, it's not good, and that clarity is that we are starting with no cash at all. And of course a lot of the season tickets have already been sold, so that's pretty negative in terms of there is no money to come in at this point in time. So to keep the doors open, we're looking at a strategy in terms of, well, how do we do that? Do we need to sell players? There's a way around that. We don't want to be involved in a fire sale, but we might be, because we might not be able to avoid it. We have to keep the doors open. We'll be asking, please give again, because it's, in some respects it's in your hands. If you want us to keep the infrastructure, keep the club open, keep it going, we need income.
I suppose the issue with that is that supporters simply don't know if the club is going to be here. If they give more money, they may be just throwing good money after bad.
Yes, I think that's true. I think they might be, and we'll be very honest about that. I think what we will be saying though is if you don't dig deep, then we will have to shut because we will have no funds. That's the actual real problem. And it is very difficult because we know they've given and we'll be asking them to give again without any recommendation that it's the right thing to do because the club will definitely be saved. We can't say that. We're actually asking them to just, I suppose, show some faith and do their best.
You've obviously been involved with a number of clubs who have been in similar situations. Where would you rank Hearts?
Probably the last one I was at, I said this is the worst I've had yet. And the reality is, I think this one is possibly even worse because we have inherited a situation where we have no funds whatsoever, and we also have quite a number of season tickets, large number of season tickets already sold. So it doesn't really get much worse than that. However, on the positive side, of course, is we have a massive fan base, and it's that fan base that gives you hope that there's something that can be done.
Is Hearts a viable going concern? Knowing what you know in the limited time that you've had, can it survive?
If you were starting this business from scratch, then of course it's viable. I think we've seen that with one or two other clubs without wanting to quote who they are, who have had a good financial discipline over the years and have budgeted well, would indicate, and particularly the fan base that Hearts have, that yes, it's a viable business, is getting it through a CVA so that you're starting with a clean balance sheet. I believe that the business would probably recover within 2-3 years if you could get it through the CVA. So the positive is, I'm sure there's something viable there. The negative is where we are right now as we speak. It's this short-term lack of cash that is so concerning that we must do something about.